Hello, everybody, and welcome to our materials Q&A session. This is where you get to share ideas about using Color Vowel materials, ask questions, as especially for folks who have recently bought materials and want to make sure that they can get started right away, or if you think you use them narrowly, we can maybe expand. It's a new feature. We will offer it once a quarter, so you'll see this popping up in the teachers community about 3 or 4 more times in 2025. And this is the December version. So welcome. I'd like to start with, I don't know, what do you want out of today? The participants rule. So you tell me what you want. I have so much sitting here right with me, and so do you. So what's the top of mind, something that you would like to do today? As you think. You can raise a hand when you're ready. Number one, we've got a sale going on for Color It Out. This is our handheld card game. It's great for, gosh, it's great for pronunciation. It's great for decoding, getting used to left to right reading. It's even great for sentence formation and all kinds of things. So that's one thing happening. There's red 10 is the code for getting 10% off on the game, which I'm going to play shortly, and the class set of the game, which is 4 decks. So FYI, you can order that over at shop.colorval.com. And the other sort of main material that is on sale this season is the launch pad. And that's a pad of pads. So that's something I want to review today for anybody who's curious. So now I'll be quiet because I gave you a chance to think. What is on your mind?
For me, just I'm not always the most creative, at least in my perspective. So just any ideas, of course, for me right now on mine, I am getting a document, uh, what do they call it? Document camera. So just, yeah, I'd just be interested if there's time available, to find out, ways to use some of the resources, particularly online, or how you leverage using the document camera to teach.
Great. I have my document camera right here. My little disposable one. Not disposable, collapsible.
Sure. Right,
It's
right, right.
Friday. I think I've had a little too much coffee.
Portable. Yeah.
Portable. Just yes, portable, collapsible, not disposable.
Sure.
Yeah, so great. I'll find a way to weave that in, and then we can continue talking, Kevin. And Kevin, why don't
Okay.
you tell folks where you are and what you're doing these days?
Uh, well, currently I'm in Cusco, Peru. Um, so I have two students with intercambio. Hello, Karen. So, uh, so, um, so really enjoying that. That's going great. And so it's really my first two students teaching online. I've been a trainer for about 10 years, but it's definitely a different environment. And of course, you have the communication area, so that's a little different. So,
Yeah. And learning Spanish all the while, right?
oh, yes. And I'm learning Spanish. Yes.
That's great. All right. What else is on someone else's mind? And you can use the chat if you don't feel like, raising a hand, but I'd love to hear you. I'll put this in the chat. One
I just
is,
put something in the chat. I was looking at what's on sale and I was looking at the fully equipped classroom. And I would just like to know, I mean, even just having an overview of like, here's all the things and, this is how you can integrate them in.
oh, you're so smart. That's right. Well, here, let's do this as sort of a step even better. Let's go visit the site for a second. And that can sort of help with, oh, interesting. Somebody's trying to join us through Google Meet. So that's because we're not in Google Meet. Let's see if we can get there. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, we always meet. Yeah, I'll have to tell her that. We always meet in Zoom. All right, so here's our shop,
I
folks. Yeah.
I have I thought of something since the extra games are on sale. I was thinking, gosh, maybe I'll get more games and I'll cut them into pieces the way I saw somebody cutting them into pieces before, but now I can't remember why they cut them into pieces.
Okay. Great, great. Yeah, I think those of you, if you're not already, anyone who uses Facebook who has our book basically is welcome to join our private Facebook group. And that's where Robin has seen, we have a teacher there who lives in Spain, who for years has bought decks of Color It Out and cut it into little mini cards for her use. So little bitty sort of mini word cards. And she uses that with low level and literacy level learners. So
Now I
let's see
can't
if
remember why. Okay.
all right, well, I'll see if we can, we'll put that in our list. Would you just make a little note of that, Robin, in the chat
Yeah.
as our second item? Okay. This is our sale, as you can see, the sale announcement on our shop.colorvowel.com. I sort of like to remind folks that, we have one website, but it's really kind of three websites. So we have colorval.com, and then we branch off into our learning community, which is learn.colorval.com, and shopping, which is shop.colorval.com. Okay. And it's just kind of a handy way to keep in mind. We use different platforms with different strengths. Here is our shop. I just put that in the chat for you. Okay. And that code again is red10. So 10% off Color It Out and launch pads and Color It Out classroom decks, as you can see here. When you come into browse all, that's a really useful tab. Okay. And what Karen was describing is true. It's sort of, look at this launch kit has a bunch of stuff, as does the fully equipped classroom. So why don't I start with that? And folks, as you keep thinking of what you want out of today, please put that over in the chat and we'll keep kind of coming back and circling around. Okay. As far as purchasing, we have 4 different kind of kit kinds of things. These are all called kits. The fully equipped classroom is the biggest kit. Okay. And so as we can see here, it has the game. It has mini charts, which I'd love to talk about today. That's a fun product. Our book in digital format. Otherwise, everything is physical. Our launch pad and a foldable poster. I'm going to stop share on this for a second and just sort of look at the room. Who is mobile, meaning who moves from classroom to classroom to teach? Anybody? We're all online or something. Okay, so our poster is a foldable poster. We chose the paper, which is actually a plastic kind of paper, really carefully, so it's foldable without creasing or losing the color, right? So it doesn't have like a white line where it's creased, and it's made for travel. So like Kevin, you kind of raised your hand, and it's great when you need to kind of fold it up, stick it into your bag, and then pull it back out. It doesn't tear. It's just very durable, and so it's great for that. If you reinforce the corners with clear packing tape, then you can use tape on it over and over without taking off some of the layers of color. But other than that one little vulnerability, it's just super durable. If you are teaching, who's online? Who teaches online? Okay, so then we're dealing with virtual backgrounds, which we do have as part of our training. We provide a nice virtual. I can put mine here somewhere. If you are savvy, you can always make your own. Where am I? I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hold on one second here. There we go. Okay. So, I could always put mine up behind me, and that's like, we've got webinars about how to use virtual backgrounds. The third is if you're outside the United States, who's outside the US? That'd be Anne. Right. So Redbubble is a great place to go to order posters because they deliver internationally and they come in sizes that will blow your mind. They have a giant one and a medium one and a smaller one that's about this size. Okay. So let's see if I can put Redbubble out there in the chat for you in a moment. Okay. But for now, this sale is just about our shop, not the Redbubble shop. And that's worth pointing out. Okay. So here's this. With whatever product if you choose to take advantage of the sale, um, we don't have a lot of control over this feature here. I try not to use it. I just add whatever I'm buying to the cart. And then when you do go to your cart, just take a look there. You'll be wondering like, where do I put the code in and all of that? You can see here that I've actually already applied. Let me just get rid of that for a second. Okay, and I'm going to back up for a second and add something that's on sale like that. Okay, so I can add that to my cart. I'm going to get 2 of them. I go to my cart. You can see, you know, I guess it's already applied it for me, but you'll see the coupon when you check out. You can add a coupon here, okay? And I believe it's down at the bottom somewhere. Discount code right there, and then apply, okay? Each of these websites is a little different, so it's kind of handy to know that you've got to click all the way through to the payment moment, and then you apply that discount, okay? If I just come back up, okay, and come back into browsing. All right, so our 3 or 4 kits, the biggest one is fully equipped. It has one of everything, right? And so everything else you see in the room that's physical is in this kit. The tutor kit is what it sounds like. It's more aligned to a tutor working at a table with one person. And so the image cards that are here and the game, and then basically what's in the book. And the chart's going to be left to that person to figure out, is it a small foldable chart? Is it one that's permanently stationed? They'll figure that out. Or they might be using a launch pad as their reference to the chart. Okay. Any questions so far? Who uses a mini chart? Anybody? No? It's one of our oldest, and this was driven by teachers. We went to a conference in Colorado. I think that was about the time we met Lee from Intercombio, although we met him in Georgia. But we had teachers come up who took my business card, and on the back of my business card is a chart. And they said, you know, they put it in their lanyard, which a lot of people do at conferences. And then the next year they came and they said, we think you should make these to be in our students' ID lanyards. They were at a university. And so we're like, well, sure, we'll try that. And so what we did is we put the chart on one side of that card. And then on the back side of that card is a series just to kind of light up and provide practice to the learner, a series of words and phrases and multisyllable words so that they can practice and kind of get the idea of flooding. Okay, so here you can see olive sock would be something like olive sock lots, on top, cooperative, not a problem. And what we did is we created a recording of each of these over in SoundCloud. And so if you see that link down there, it actually can take them. Green tea, neat, people, intriguing. It's unbelievable. Okay, so we have one little recording for each of those color vowels, and even more of them that didn't appear on the card. And so it's just a very easy access way to provide them with ways to practice. This was long before Blue Canoe came along. So this is kind of our way to reach them with a recorded model. Okay, so kind of fun that way. And when you buy it, you get 50 of those things. So it's also a very economical way to put the chart in students' hands. And it's small, but it's still small enough that, or big enough that they can actually swoop around and do little tracing activities. So Dr. Barr, you've been in a classroom where students have traced with their fingers, literacy
Oh, yeah.
classroom. Can you
Makes a
talk
big
about
difference.
the value of
Yeah.
just touching and tracing?
What I find that most useful for is the diphthongs, because a lot of times my students don't spend enough time on the diphthong. So it'll, instead of saying I don't know which way my hand is going, I, they'll say I, or instead of ow, it'll be oh. And so this way, if I say you have to take as long to say the vowel as it takes your hand to go up to the top, then they're forced to slow down. It's like using the hand, but it's visual as well as a kinesthetic.
Yeah, the hand's great for the stress location and for the time on vowel, that extended arm for,
Right.
you know, impossible or what have you, instead of impossible, right? Impossible. So we can teach that time-based stress. But this is about the vowel quality, and it's changed through movement.
Making it gradual instead of ow, it's
Yeah,
ow. Yeah.
right. So in the case of ow, I've been doing I. In the case of ow, here's, for example, like a Spanish speaker knows, if any of you speak Spanish, Raúl is a common name, Raúl, au. So they have au. And then they can take a word in English like house and say house, where
House.
it sounds to us too fast. But what they're doing is they're moving into kind of a two vowel concept instead of this swoop that we need them to, be aware of, so that it's easier to sound like a full stressed sound. So you see how we design the materials so that the method just fits right on top of each material. And we include the chart in Color It Out. There are, I think, a couple of cards in here that are charts. So you can touch them and swoop and locate and touch when you need to. Okay, good.
Yeah, this was for one of my Spanish speakers who had a hard time distinguishing I guess it was aw from O. So she never spent enough time on the swoop to the W. So to oh so that she would wind up now there was some I can't remember the embarrassing homonym she came up with, but it was something that uh made ah and o the same vowel, and everybody in the class was laughing at her. I said, "No, we have to fix
Oh,
this. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll think about it and I'll come up with a word."
Great, great. Yeah, so just that little fix, a lot of that spontaneous intervention when needed, the embarrassing word or phrase comes up. So, by the way, it just occurs to me we're really touching on um, method as well. And so I just want you to be aware, in case you're not already aware, that over in our learning platform, we've got also a sale going on for 20% off our courses. So there's that link and that code, which is red 20 for all of our level 1 and level 2 courses. Okay, so that's pretty exciting, including the bundles, which is already saving and then adding another 20% savings off of, say, the level 2 bundle, which gets into things like vowel yoga. That's what we've been doing with these swoopy kind of movements and the bioregulation of swooping with your hand and tracing. So that's kind of fun. Great. So mini chart, that's a great thing. It's 50 of them. It's very affordable. It's ideal for, gosh, students can put it in their wallet. They can put it in the lanyard. You can keep it if there's somebody who, they just kind of have the kind of life where you want to be sure they have that again when they come to you. You could keep it.
I
So it's
gave a
pretty flexible.
workshop for 500 foreign language teaching assistants for the for Fulbright, and in addition to lollipops and kazoos, everybody got a little mini chart. So that worked out very well.
Yeah, it's great for presentations. That was another teacher who was going to a conference and also then convinced me when we decided to go to print on that. For institutions, by the way, we have a customized mini chart where we can actually change out the words and phrases on the back to be words from your campus. And I don't know if this happens to you in your campuses, but when I was at University of Maryland, we had buildings with really strange spellings, and those are the buildings students need to find. So we had one that looked like it said Taliaferro, but it was Tolliver, and to be able to mark it, and then we have a recording of it. So we do have some customization options for,
Cool.
especially for cities or towns that have interesting landmark names. Kind of fun. Great. In that tutor kit is the game. Why don't we play the game a little bit, and we'll keep taking questions as things come up, and maybe we'll figure out for ourselves why my friend in Colorado living in Spain likes to cut up these cards into little mini word cards. Okay. So I'm also going to address Kevin's question, which is, how do you use your document camera? And I'll go ahead and use my document camera. There we go. Okay. See if we can get a good view. I might have to turn off all the lights to make this work, but we will. I used to think that this was, I just have to deal with the fact that we're virtual, but thanks to Lynn Swanda, who's one of our coaches, she was experimenting with just how to use her document camera to play Color It Out, not just show it, but really play it online. So I'm going to try a bit of that with you. And let me just turn off my other camera and see. Oh, that's better, isn't it? Right? All right. So I'm going to just start with 3 cards. See if I can. All right. A little bit light sensitive. It's kind of nice to have it lock in. There we go. Great. Alrighty. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I can pull down my screen a little bit. Kevin, that's what I like about this. I can kind of shape the screen a bit. I can tap it and make the controls disappear. And so this is kind of just a lay it all out kind of version of the game where we could play face-to-face Uno style where we each have a set of cards in our hands, but that's not so easy online. So I love introducing the chart itself, meaning just the concept of color vowel, or the game, just like this. So I'd say, what do we have? Okay, I see 2 symbols or 2 pictures that match. I see black cat and I see another black cat. So I'm going to make that into a turn. It's called the spoken turn. And I'll just kind of make space for that here. And my spoken turn is always going to go the same way, which is the card on the table and the card that I'm playing. And it's just the 2 words that match, not the bottom for now. Okay. We can do other versions where we incorporate the bottom parts, but for now, just this. So my turn starts on the left, black cat back, black cat fantastic. And it's that simple. Either I'm going to use my finger if I have a learner in a room with a deck, they like doing this. And by tapping, they're tapping right on the stress. The second way is what you're doing, Robin, which is to use the hand. What that implies is that their literacy skills are advanced enough that they can read across without any kind of a tracking device, and they can be using their hand this way, right? So black cat back, black cat fantastic. And the benefit, the educational, so what of it is that they're scanning across, and if they come from a language, which many do, that doesn't have the kind of stress that we do, where is the stress in this word if you don't have any mark to know where it is? And the only way to know where it is to have heard it or to look it up in a dictionary, which so many, either don't or don't know how to make sense of the little diacriticals there and all that. So this provides them with that information in advance, and they can decode knowing where the stress is. Black cat, fantastic. So that's easy enough.
I have a
Same.
tip if you're using it in a classroom, which you may not if you're doing this, with your document camera, just one person to one person, but in a classroom where you're all together, the person whose turn it is the one who's touching it. So black cat back, but everybody else is in chorus going along with them using their hands, and that way everybody gets a chance to practice that sequence.
Yeah, exactly that choral piece. I've had teachers come who teach middle school. I have Michael Connors teaches down in DC, and he uses the game each time a newcomer arrives in his school. And the other middle schoolers introduce that kid to this game, and that's how they become friends and how they get to know color vowel all at once, right? You notice that you only need to know this first symbol to play immediately. And then as we bridge into the other cards, you'll get to know each symbol. So it's always just in time, never all in advance, right? We don't preload. So let's keep playing. So we have that, and now I can put this in. And I can say, well, do we have any other matches? And I could just ask the room, so I can name these for you. I could say, well, this is a cup of mustard. This little yellowish looking thing is a cup of mustard, and that seems to match, right? And then we have also orange door or for these 2 words. So I can ask, since I don't get to see, let's see, I don't get to see Michelle very often. So Michelle, which one would you like to play? Which pair? The mustard or the orange?
I'll play the orange.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and make that play. Here we go. And I'll do the pointing and you can do the hand and the speaking out loud, starting with orange and door. Ready?
Orange door born. Orange door award.
Great. So that's the 6-point turn or the spoken turn. That's something we've actually patented as an educational, it's a utility patent that we were awarded. And it has to do with this coming together of the markup, the symbol that is not a grapheme, it's not an IPA symbol, it's this, this other thing, this abstracted thing, and then the physical and also the flooding that's involved. So by the time you get to this, which is the 6th beat, you're very primed to apply what's happening sound-wise along this pathway. Listen to it again. Orange door, born, orange door. And by the time they get here, if they were tempted to say a word, right, or a word, they've already been primed with orange and door along the way, and they're more likely to say award. Okay, so that's kind of the science or the design behind it, is that the spoken part is intrinsic to the game, and that's really the only way you could break the game, is to not speak the turn. Otherwise, if you're not speaking, then they're just matching these things. Now it's like, this could be played by 3-year-olds, right? If they're just matching symbols. But what we're doing is a spoken game with our eyes scanning the written word. Neat, right?
Karen, if you have someone online who struggles with that, do you just have them repeat, like try it again?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So and especially if they don't use the hand, then they don't have enough stress and all these kinds of things. Hey, you want to do it again? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes they'll say, despite all the, the kind of minimal instructions I give, they'll say, born, award, big, was. Like, good job. Now do this.
Yeah.
Orange door, born, orange
Mhm.
door, award, your turn. And go ahead, Teresa.
And then are you asking me to go or do I
Yeah,
have a?
I am.
Oh, okay. Born, no, orange door, born, orange door, award.
And that's how I do it.
Okay.
I really put them right back on the spot. It's their turn. We finish up with their voice and we move along.
And I wonder if you had everybody mute, then others in the class could be engaged and do it themselves, but we're just listening to one student online.
Yeah, this is where I recommend, if you're teaching in Zoom, you could have people mute and unmute, but that's pretty tedious and they
Mm.
forget. The other thing you can do is say, take your turn in a whisper, right?
Oh,
So everybody in the room can whisper while Teresa takes her turn. Well, in this
okay.
And
case,
using their arms.
right. So they can be whispering and using the open hand. Notice I don't really care where the discard pile is. Right now we have 2 cards here, 2 cards here, but the game is working in the sense of there's some choice, there's some intriguing word combinations people are starting to notice, and the game keeps going forward, right? So now we have silver pin words. That's pretty neat. And that might be our only match. So Kevin, what would you like to match?
Let's see. His and tail. Okay. Silver pin big, silver pin his.
Great. All right, good. You may have noticed by now, and I kind of planted the seed, that some of these words are kind of related, right? Anybody notice a big award? A big award or a fantastic Sunday?
Ah,
Or what kind of sentence could we make with this card? Or this one?
Mhm.
I
I
Any
found
found
a
ideas?
a
bicycle.
bicycle.
Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I found a bicycle.
Yeah. I found a bicycle. We could prime it. Brown cow found, white tie bicycle. I found a bicycle. Pretty kind of chanty and also kind of practicey, right? I could pass it around and then say, let's see, who else is here in the room? I can't see everybody. Now, are you still here? There you are. I couldn't
Yeah.
see you for a little bit. Now, would you like to take a turn? This is a little bit more like an intermediate or advanced or high advanced class. I could say now, could you make a sentence with olive sock drawing and rose boat sewing?
Okay, and my hobby is I sorry, my hobbies are sewing and drawing.
Yeah. And then I could say, could
Is
you
that
go back
okay?
and just anchor those? And she'd say,
Okay.
sure. And you could do rose boat. Go ahead.
Rose boat sewing and olive sock drawing.
Yeah. And then follow with the sentence one more time.
Okay. And my hobbies are sewing and drawing. And actually, Karen, so for Japanese people and including me, of course, and rose boat and olive sock are sometimes very confusing.
Yes. Yeah, so that's I happened to pick that by chance, but you're
Yeah.
right. That's a great sentence for Japanese speakers. Plus, there's
Yeah.
this extra kind of tricky
Yeah.
W in drawing
Yeah.
that visually we could talk about, right? That it's not
Yeah.
drawing or drawing.
Draw.
Yeah.
So like and if I see W or something like that W, so my mouth automatically ow or O or something like that. Drawing. Drawing is a natural way for me. But
Yeah.
actually no.
Well, and it makes sense because I think what's odd, and maybe Dr.
Yeah.
Q, you have an idea about this. I think it's interesting that we are connecting a low mid vowel like drawing,
Yeah.
you know, and
Drawing.
we're not reaching up to these connectors in any way. What do you think of that,
And
Dr.
in fact, there are dialects where people insert an R, like drawing.
Yeah.
So, upper class Southern British English and also Boston area, you'll get drawing room.
Yep.
Oh.
I echo, I see your face. You're like, oh my gosh. It is so neat, isn't it? So we can have these conversations that adapt to the people in the room, and we're the people in the room, so we can have these interesting conversations, right? The game is for everybody, and yet, and you can have, as we did in New Mexico, we piloted it with native and non-native speakers working together to play the game, and young and old. And these groups were just, everybody was engaged and having a great time. Nobody was doing anybody a favor. They were all there having a great time and simply playing together with spoken English. And
One
what a
thing
fun
I've
thing.
noticed that might seem counterintuitive, but it really seems to work, is that you might think, oh, everybody's just going to want to say, big and his, and stop there, and not take the six part turn. But in fact, it's because it turns into a chant that people are enjoying doing it, and if they're all moving at the same time and chanting together, it's like singing together. So silver pin big, silver pin his, and then they feel a satisfaction at completing that six-part turn.
That's right. That's right. I may have, let me just see here. I'll just give you a glimpse here. I have a video that is of people actually playing the game. And a lot of this comes from the earliest days. We had a name for the game that we quickly realized a little too, not too quickly though, that it was already copyrighted and what do you call it, trademarked. So what you'll see is that old brand name here that we had to
even had a
switch out of.
jingle.
We did have a jingle, but we called it Duo. We called it Color Val Duo for about a year and a half before we went to a professional production of the game. So that's what you see here. And these are native speakers. These are children playing the game and just getting at the idea of how compelling that 6-word chant is. Listen to this. Let me go ahead and just adjust my audio to make sure you can hear as well as I want you to. There we go. Okay.
Hey, I don't need them. Draw card.
These are
So,
these are first and second graders.
purple shirt work, purple shirt bird. Sophia. Your turn. No.
My
it's not
turn?
her turn.
Purple shirt bird, purple shirt birthday.
So the birds.
Oh, well, that didn't take you very far. I just sort of saw that over sitting in my chart, over in my list, but I have a longer video. But super engaged. They really loved just the fun of like, can I run out of cards? But meanwhile, they were overriding words like HEARD. And where somebody used to say heard when they would see it, and then they were recoded to say purple shirt heard. So I'll find a better video as we go along if we have time. Okay. But back to our layout here. You may have noticed, maybe one of you noticed these tiny things right here. Anybody notice the skip? So when you're playing like this, the skip doesn't have to mean anything. But when you're playing like Uno, which all Uno would look like is this, you just have a stack of cards, and I've just played my turn, and now the next person whose turn it is skipped, right? So now there's my drawing deck. Here are my cards, right? I'll turn this around just so you don't feel triggered. There we go. And so the other person's turn is skipped, and here we are, it's my turn again. And I might pick, what's neat about this is you can see pretty quickly whether or not you have a match without having to look at all the words, by the way. You just see the borders. So I can already see that I need to, oh, I have one right here. There we go. So now I can play olive sock drawing, olive sock tomorrow. Okay. And again, I could then be added a challenge. Do you want to come today or tomorrow? And I've got my 2 words, make a sentence. So that's the add-on challenge level. And you get to see if your students can make a grammatical sentence. Or maybe it's not grammatical and you make a little adjustment and they recast it. And then you move along. Okay. What about cutting them up? Why would a teacher want to take a perfectly good game deck and cut these up? Can we come up with some rationales for that?
The upside down words are really hard for people who don't know how to read well.
Yeah. So just having to, constantly turn, and well, if a student needs to have these turned and turned and turned, maybe we just need to cut them up so that we don't have to do that anymore. Maybe the game is sorting them visually into groups and doing some other work with them, like flooding.
You could
Right.
flood, yeah, flooding. I think that's what you just said.
Well, you can do a
I
version of
would
that.
I
Go
would
ahead.
also suggest keeping the words, the smaller cards are easier to keep in the pocket when you want to like train the thing and keep it with your handy. So it works probably for this purpose as well.
That's right. That's right. So if I wanted to, I could start to create a little pile, and this is without cutting it up. Right, I could just start pulling out, and by the way, it's so easy to do this with your whole deck because it's color coded. And we can just start to see what lies in wait with all of these rose words. And each time we add one, I could have you, the student, flood it again, right? So, hi, Lucia, good to see you. Lucia, would you go ahead and flood these for us?
Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Rose boat. Oh, rose a over don't low sewing. October.
There we go. And then with each one we add, if I have 2 or 3 people that I'm tutoring, every time I add one or somebody finds one out of the deck, just the act of sorting through the deck for literacy and, if you're getting literacy behaviors, that's that hand-eye grapheme behavior going on with the scaffold. They're finding the symbol, right? And now they get to do this nice, beautiful override of I'm coming down and flooding the rose sound. It looks kind of normal. Okay, that's kind of weird. I can override what I see with what I'm saying. There's that sewing, October, not coat, coat, right? And so that's a great way to reinforce that a lot of times it's spelled in an expected way, but not always. Okay. Other ideas. Why would we, this is not cutting it up. So I've come back to not cutting it up. What about cutting it up some more?
Oh, Rebecca had a suggestion, but I don't quite understand it.
Okay.
Rebecca, can you explain that?
Hi. Yeah, so if you cut them up and you sort them into their colors, like you have a bunch of purple words or a bunch of rose words, then you can look at how those words are spelled, similar to the spelling exploration worksheet. But if students aren't real good at writing, or if you just don't have
that's great.
you forget to make copies or whatever, and you have these, they can still do like, so here we have worry and work that are spelled, the purple sound is spelled the same way, and world. So those could all be a little column together, and then her is spelled differently. So you would put that in a different column. And Thursday is spelled differently. So that would be in a different column. And you can make a little histogram based on frequency of spelling.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I
Yeah.
like it because a lot of my students have real labored writing.
Yeah.
They're not good at writing.
Right.
They just have to move things around, but they're still, their attention is still being drawn to how you spell that sound. So birthday, does that fit into the OR column? No. Does it fit into the ER column? No. Does it fit into the UR column? No. So it has to be its own column. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like this very much.
You know, and I love that I have to actually widen. Oh, I can't do that. Let's see. You know, we're like, wow, I wonder how many more patterns there are, right? We can just start forming that curiosity. If I've got a learner who's still going to be distracted by all those other words, I just do this. So, you know, there are ways to do this without cutting word cards up. You can still end up with this kind of bar graph result, which we do in spelling exploration, by the way, a level 2 course. Spelling starts in January. So if you are level 1 trained, we're doing spelling exploration. It starts with this kind of histogram or bar graph work, and it ends with games. We have this course has really evolved into online game making in week 4. So if you're curious about making online games so that we get lots of practice with exposure to spelling while working on the sound of spoken English, that's what we do in this course. It's super fun. And so if it's been a while for you, like Donna took spelling, I think 3 years ago, it's evolved, and it's a really nice, affordable audit. We've got a couple of auditing spaces in those courses for those who have already taken it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed something too on here, and I guess it depends upon how many of these, but most of these words seem to be one syllable, but you could also group them by 1 or 2 or possibly 3 syllables
Mhm.
because sometimes well, many times the stress is on the front. So birthday, Thursday, but
Mhm.
there may be some words in here that are not. And so that might be, another way. The word world, I have a
Mhm.
student who thought that was 2 syllables. And
Well, is it?
he said whirled is how
Ah,
he pronounced it, as whirled. And I said, no, this is actually one of these crazy things in English. We don't like to have 3 consonants together. But
yeah.
it is world, but you're just world. You're not holding on to the L with where the placement of your tongue. But I thought that was really interesting because for a long time he's been saying whirled, whirled, all
Really.
Is
over
he
the
an Arabic?
world.
Is
Yeah.
he an Arabic speaker?
No, he's from Ethiopia.
Ethiopia. Okay. No,
Uh-huh.
there's dialects of Arabic that insert the vowel in after the consonant instead of before the consonant. But I usually help my students who have a hard time with the RL cluster
Yes.
actually
Uh-huh.
turn that into a syllabic L, world, like
Uh-huh.
squirrel. Say, don't try to say it all in one syllable. You can
Whirl, whirl.
you're
Well,
allowed to
then my
make it.
then my
Yeah.
student would say whirled, whirled.
Ah, I see. Yeah.
No,
But those of you who were in Chance recently know that we actually contrasted word and world recently. Was anyone in that class with me? You know, if you listen to the two sides, Ayako, I think you were there, right? And just by listening to the two side by side and chanting, you start to hear that 2-syllable-ish behavior of that syllabic L in world.
One and a
So
half. Yeah.
word, world, right? Word, world, word, just that. World. You can hear that one word, world, word. You can hear that one behaves in a more than one syllable kind of way, but
It's
not
like
the 2-syllable way that you were describing, Donna.
it's like
Different. Yeah.
fight versus file or fire. Come on, baby, like my light, one syllable, my fire, 2
Oh,
syllables.
nice contrast. Hey, the words that you're looking at here, by the way, to answer somebody mentioned about multisyllable. Um, Laura and I designed the game together. We chose, we decided on the words. This was after it was duo and after we did a really great fundraiser with so many of our clients, like everybody was contributing to this fundraiser. We manufactured the game professionally. And when it came to do that, we really put some thought into these combinations and into what words are in here. So what are the words? These are high frequency sight words and other what I'll call, what are sight words? I could tear that into pieces in another conversation, but so-called sight words and long words as well. But I'm not sure you'll see the big variety, Donna, that you were thinking for doing a kind of a syllable or stress awareness of which pattern. There are a few. There's computer is one multisyllable, calendar, but most of them are 1 and 2 syllable words, high frequency words. Okay.
What I like about the way you have it organized, though, is a lot of times where the same letter is different colors. I think you have a couple of those in here. I can't see the bottom, so I can't tell, but
good. Well, let's take a look. So some of these are collocations or just they're going to happen in similar situations. Like, don't worry, I understand. Like that. You need to pay me if I'm going to work for you. Something like that. What about this one? Who can
Miss
come up with
America, what is your goal as Miss America?
peace in the world? Okay, so these are, lexically related to each other, these guys that I've just sort of played. His and her are a little different, right? So here they're both pronouns and it's the male and female. So that's a little different. Hurt finger is more lexical. Thursday, I'll be there soon. I'll get there soon on Thursday. We go here. First and last, they're more related in this way, sort of opposites or different versions of something, right? Time markers, girl and daughter. But take a look. Here's birthday April. So a lot of them are these kind of sentencey topical things. But then take a look at this one. This is white tie lie and green tea believe. What's neat about that? Here, I'll move so the lighting. What's neat? You see what's neat, right?
Yes.
Don't make me
Look at the
say it.
middle
What's
of the
neat about it?
word. LIE is in both words.
Yeah. And in one word, it's lie, it's white, and in the other one, it's green. This happens with child and children. This happens with, oh, I love this. That's a great story. We love these 40 years ago, Okay, here's one that's both got a grammatical relationship and same spelling pattern. So you have gray day say and red pepper says. And I'm just holding my hand here for the lighting so you can see it better. So there's so much built into this game that you can, ingeniously, as you all do when you work with students, you just find these little ways, like, let's just take 2 cards and see what we can do with them. Like little conversation pieces. For
There are things that
$1.
they notice themselves, which I like. You say, why is it that it's say but says, and they notice
Yeah,
it themselves. I don't have to, I'm not telling them. They're discovering it.
I was born in Bakersfield, California. Don't worry, we'll find a way. All of these can be super primed before you say the sentence. Of course, I can say them now because it's my language, but the learner would prime themselves. White tie, find, gray day, way. I'll find a way. I'll find a way. Little mini chant. Rhythm and chants, for those of you not familiar with what I'm talking about, is one of the strategies of the color vowel approach. We have a whole level 2 course on it. Who enjoyed it recently wants to say something while I look at other cards for you. Ayako, did you enjoy that course?
Did. Very much so.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, there are a lot of these in here. Oh, I love this one. This is, I super love
Oh,
family and
yeah,
father,
good one.
right? F-A, F-A, not father, not family. right? And so that notion that the letters are just staring at us all the time. Me and you, it's kind of grammatical. So there are these three kind of lists going on in the game. So that's kind of fun. I'll stop there. Other ways you can play, by the way, when we just give the deck to people, this is what they did. In Indonesia, this group of teachers, there are about 40 of them, they all hovered around this table with one deck, and they created a head to toe overview of the whole deck. They just went and found like, okay, and then there's girl. And each time they would say them again. So black cat last, black cat family, olive sock father. And then they'd be looking around and they'd find olive sock thought, red pepper never. And all around the table till it was covered in this big snaky list, red pepper together. And that's all they wanted to do. And they did it for about 45 minutes. I want to see the words in this game. And in the end, did they make one long snake? I think they did. It was amazing. So that is a game, right? It's the gamification is the thing that distracts you from the tedium of, I'm going to look at all the letters in this word. Right. And
I
the
think
tedium.
that's great. I know once I kind of forgot how to play this game. It had been a while. And
Uh-huh.
I was teaching in person, so I put the deck out and I, had a few students at this table and I'm like, so I showed them how you match them a little and they entertained themselves for 30 minutes, they came up with their own way of playing with these cards. So I thought that was lucky.
Great.
Right. Allow time for your students to teach you how they want to use them. There's a go
Mm,
fish option in here. It's
mm.
nothing I have to give you. It's just the concept is we can just play it
Right.
now.
Yeah, because
Right?
this is like dominoes kind of,
Yeah. Yeah. You can do four-way, by the way. If you do this kind of dominoes, this is fun. I can take if I'm playing dominoes and it's out in every direction, you'll end up with these little nexuses. I don't know if that's the right word. But you get to the third one, and now you're going to flood three. And then you get to this other, I'll call it an intersection. And now you put down the fourth. What does this turn sound like? Olive sock father, olive sock daughter, olive sock thought, olive sock tomorrow, right? A little 6-year-old girl was living here during pandemic in my house with her mom. We kind of did a shared family house thing. And she sat with the deck by herself, native speaker, 6-year-old, and played this by herself for like an hour. And again, a beautiful layout of cards, which tells me it's compelling. If a 6-year-old can do that on their own, there's something there. Okay. Fun stuff. So let's see, someone asked me what kind of document projector I'm using.
Yeah, I was
And
asking you about that. I know there's different things out there, and I think you can do something with your phone itself, but I don't know. I haven't really investigated that. But is it a separate document camera that you have?
yeah, so here, let me turn it off before I do this to you.
Yeah.
I just put the brand name over in the chat. It's called Ipevo. I'm sure there
Okay.
are many out there, but I like this one, because not disposable, it's compact, it's
Oh,
portable,
okay. Now,
um,
yeah, I see yours. Uh-huh. Okay.
and then it's just a USB cable.
Okay.
So it just plugs into your computer and it's basically another camera.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
in Zoom, you can pick it as the thing you're sharing, or you could even pick it as a camera, which I don't know how many of you are interested in this concept, but I'm going to change. Watch this. Here I am. I'm me. I'm changing not what I'm sharing. I'm rather changing my camera to my Ipevo. And now I'm that.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
See, I can move it and hi, I'm upside down. It's just another camera. So when you start thinking, what can I do with a camera?
Mm.
Um, that camera can do all kinds of things for you in Zoom.
Hmm. Interesting. I had a
Yeah.
question too on where you're doing the multi-direction domino type game. I'm not sure if this would work with that. But is there a way to do um like a little quadrant of them where it'd be easy enough to get the three sides, but then you're going to have to get one that has the correct color sound to go in that last spot. Do you see what I'm saying? So like
Like
here
out of
you,
their mind?
yeah, but you're do two of them together, like the father and what is that, thought?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, turn it the other, that's fine. Now, you'll need to find a black cat word and a
Okay.
red pepper word.
Ah,
Just do
yes.
that, and then at the bottom, you're gonna have to have whatever links those up.
Okay.
So it
So,
could be like you may have to just go through the cards to see if there's one like that. So yeah. So put the went, there we go. So you're gonna have to find one that's a card that has green tea and what is that? Gray day.
Gray day.
oh, okay, I see what you're
And
saying.
I mean, that may be too crazy, too complicated, but when you were doing the different dimensions, I thought, oh, I wonder if you could do it that way too.
Well, I can tell you that I'm pretty sure we have that combination, but I can't promise you. Here,
Yeah.
there, we did it.
Oh, no.
No,
Turn.
no,
No?
No, because you got to
no.
get the green tea.
Oh gosh, wrong colors. Yeah, I
Donna,
would.
this is what you're going to do for an hour some afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Is make
here's,
up
you
your
can
own
play
games.
with that. And I would say, and I'll take me back on here. You want to be sure that, then for what? All of that so that we could do a big long chain to chain flood, then you don't
Mm-hmm.
need to close it. Now, if you're playing a really advanced game, that could work. Maybe that's it. It's almost
Gotcha.
like, I know, it's like Uno, but you keep pulling cards. So now I have 20 cards just because the whole goal is to
Until,
finish the
right,
circle.
until you get one, and it's like, oh man, I was down to 2 cards. Now I've got 12 in my
There
hand.
you go.
Yeah.
Hey, play it and come back to us. I'm going to show you, this is my normal background. So, but play it, come back to us. I think that's great, Donna. That's kind of ingenious. Like
Donna
it's a
gets an extra
level up.
5 points if she can make one of those quadrilaterals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
that'd be
right.
good. That's something that um I don't know. It just that little design just kind of popped out at me. So I see patterns and designs and things. So yeah.
I love it. I love it. Anything that promotes repetition without it feeling repetitious. That's, if that's what we manage to do, then we've created a lot of practice. That's the whole foil of it, right? What about, can we switch over and talk about the launch pad a little bit? Anybody curious about that? Who uses the launch pad? Donna? Do you use that regularly? Is that Teresa?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I always do, definitely when I'm introducing the color vowel chart. But especially as I'm having the same group of students, let's say over a couple of different levels, they might have an extra one that is more of content based, or they just run out of room on the first one and we have to go to the second one, and then you can just, flood all of the blue moon words on both. But I don't know if there's another way to do this. I didn't see this online because I just had to pay for this out of pocket yesterday. But I ran through my initial 50 a long, long time ago. And so I
Okay.
paid for double-sided color copies. And then,
Ouch.
yeah, yeah.
That's not
But
as cost effective as buying them from us. I'll tell you that now.
okay, okay.
Otherwise,
Well,
it's crazy.
I didn't even, and I didn't know
Yeah.
that those were even available until you mentioned it in the class I went, the webinar yesterday. And I thought, oh, dang, I wish I'd known.
Oh, so let me introduce everybody to the Launchpad because that's the whole thing.
Okay.
And thank you, Sadeka, for being here. Oh my goodness, everybody, it is the top of the hour, and I'm happy to continue, but I can imagine some of you are like, I kind of only budgeted for an hour. So if you're in that situation like Sadeka, thank you for coming and being here. And if you can stay, I can show you the Launchpad. But I want to just first of all thank everyone for being here. How quickly did an hour go by? It's super fast. Couple questions were asked. I echo. We don't sell 3D products in Redbubble. Redbubble is a printing organization. Think of them as a printing shipping organization. So they can take our images and deliver them abroad. But that's the one catch about Color It Out is we could only, what is it? We'd only sell it in the United States because the shipping, any other country, even Canada,
Oh
is
no.
expensive for the client. And it's embarrassing to sell it and say, you're going to buy this for, what is it, $24, and you have to pay $40 in shipping. I cannot allow that, and I won't, so I don't. Like, that's how I feel about that. I refuse to gouge people with the US postal system. So friends will buy it in the States and take it to different countries. Dorley, who couldn't be here today, she has been the mule of Color It Out to Brazil and to Scotland and to China. I mean, people travel with it and give it to teachers that they're in touch with. And I love that more than
Is there
comment.
anybody having a plan to come to Japan soon? No? No? Okay.
Ayako-san, I have an extra.
Yay.
Yeah. Yeah. So are you in Japan? Are you in Japan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I could send you that.
Message each
you
other.
can sell me. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Speaking of mules, my kid is going to Japan next spring. So I might send him with a backpack full of it. Who knows?
Let's talk about it later.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So again, if you have to leave, I understand. If you honestly want to hear or see the
Bye
launch,
now. Good to see you.
let me know and stay. Bye now. Thank you. Bye, Donna. Thank you. Ayako. Briefly put, the launch pad, I'm glad I don't have any virtual. I can just hold things up. It is a pad of pads. Okay, so when you take the course, the level 1 course, you're trained with the launch pad to some extent, or it's in the course. But you may not realize that this is that super affordable double-sided color copy. So Donna, that's exactly what you want, is to, you can buy a couple of these. The way that I started doing this is when I ran a program in New Mexico, an adult ed ESL program, and it was before we made the front side, but we had the back side, which is the color Vowel organizer, right? And it has the symbols on it. You can see it has its color and it has the symbols. So they're getting used to already what the symbols signify. But I would make 2,000 copies of the organizer for my program so that my ESL teachers could just come in and grab 20 at a time and just have it available every week of the school semester and use them. Now what this is a lesson plan for introducing and revisiting essential concepts of spelling versus sound. And that's what these two parts are this kind of mini, like you won't believe, they can't believe it. And so let me show you what they can't believe. And I hear somebody talking. Is someone trying to ask me something, or is that somebody's background? Maybe it's background. Okay. The pad comes with a lesson when you purchase it from our shop. You get that lesson digitally. If you know Jennifer, you know how meticulous she is. It's a meticulously written lesson that we wrote together and then she structured. That lesson starts from the moment we get to the top of the page. So this isn't just like a tacit, like write your name. We act like nothing's going on, but by the end of the lesson, when they've moved these words and they've come here and they come back, by the end of that lesson, they're up here marking their name with their underline and their color vowel. And we end up being able to say, my name is Red Pepper Karen. My last name is Gray Day Taylor. And this might be one 45-minute lesson, or it could end up being 2 different days, but they end up with the most essential language already stressed and colored. And that's the big kind of wrap up of the lesson. The 2 ahas down here are not one time. I can't tell you how many times it takes for a student to say, wait a minute, are you telling the truth? Like these are all one color, and you say, yeah, we did this 3 weeks ago and you said the same thing. And so it's literally unbelievable to some students, and they have to revisit this. The idea that one sound can be spelled in different ways and that one letter can represent different sounds. So we have it here for them to come back to again and again as they grasp just that truth about English. So that's the essence of the pad. Plus,
what I like about the front is that it's large enough again for us to do the kinesthetic movement, and I have them point or move their finger along the lines, and it takes them, and see how long it takes them to get from olive sock to green tea to get I, and they have to go through every vowel on the way. It can't just be I.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you can do things too. You can do this if tracing, I mean, using a coin's really neat. It feels nice when it slides. So coins work well on it. Um, and I also like it for any kind of like a phonemic awareness activity. Like here, let me grab. You've got to wonder what my desk looks like that I can pull this out. So here's there's a little cup. This is like a little mug. It's a baby mug. I'll call it a cup. So if it's a cup and then I move it here, what is it now? Yeah, Karen, it's a cop. Like what? Is that a word of English?
Yeah, like a slang word for police officer.
Okay, like a slang word for police officer.
Call the coppers.
Call the cops. Okay, what if I move it here? What word is it now? This is a nice way to kind of round out our meeting with some fun. So Donna, what word is cup? When it's not cop, now what is it?
Now we have a black cat cap, like a baseball cap.
Yeah, yeah. Great. And so then if I move up over here to blue moon, sorry, my lighting got weird. What is it now? Ayako, what is this word now that's blue?
Coop.
Yeah, coop. Is that a word?
It could be. Yeah, it is, isn't it? Coop d'etat, no?
Ah, coup like coup
French,
coup d'etat. It looks like that in coup d'etat, but we don't say coup d'etat. But that's a great
Doesn't
catch.
look French.
Yeah, so we say coup d'etat, even though it's spelled with a P. But
Right, sorry.
there's another word. Somebody else nodded. No, this is great. You're activating. This is what I love about it. You're activating. Wait a minute, Donna. She's activating her vocabulary and she brought it to the table and we got to exercise coup d'etat. How cool was that? And then here's Donna clucking like what?
A crazy person.
Crazy person. Yeah, well, actually, back when President Obama was first elected, that the chickens here in Georgia were so excited. They were so excited when he won because they were going around the barnyard saying, "Rock, rock."
Oh my goodness. Donna Blanton. What a joke.
Sorry.
So why are you saying this? Because now Ayako, I'm worried that Ayako's worried for you. Why are you making chicken jokes?
Because that's what's for supper.
No, come on, come on. What's the word?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
No, what's the word that made you make all these jokes?
Coop.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what?
chicken coop. Chicken
Like
coop.
a chicken coop, which is what?
That's where you put the chickens before you pluck them and put them in the fryer.
It's a cage for chickens.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, it's like where
It's their house.
the chickens live, and they're kept away from the foxes and coyotes that might like to have them for dinner.
It's a chicken house, right? Do you notice how much? So Donna, as a child of God and as a learner, she was so activated by this word that she told 3 different jokes, and she forgot that I was asking her about this word, and I had to push her 3 times to get back to the word. That's how exciting this was,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it really does activate. This is intriguing for everybody. And it intrigued Donna very honestly. And then I brought her back, and now Ayako has a new word, chicken coop. Okay. Do you see what I mean?
And a
Like,
couple jokes too.
yeah, this is all wonderful. And coup d'etat as well. So we could keep moving around, meaning you can come back. It's 3-hole punched, so they can put it in their binder. Okay, so it's really ready to go as the touchstone. They can put it in a plastic sheet if you want it to stay protected, what have you. But the objects can come out. I have bags of objects. It's a truck. It's a trick. It's a treek. What's a treek? Is it treek anything? Not a word of English that I know. Okay, so not a word. And you keep driving around and find other words. Okay.
Well, here you can do the one with the treak if the truck has the letter L on it, then it would be treacle for the Brits, like you have treacle pie. It's
okay.
the sugar
Yeah.
syrup.
You can find part of a word and add the rest of it, in
Treacle.
other words. Okay.
Yeah.
Track. All right. So you can tell this is super fun, going on forever and ever. I hope you had fun. I certainly did. Really fun having you here. Just seeing what we can do with just two simple objects, two products. Those are both on sale, 10% off. Let me know if you have any questions, and have a great weekend. Tell your friends about the courses, because this is not often that we have sales like this. Okay. Thank you.
I'm trying to
Thank
get
you.
Leanne to sign us up, so we'll see what we can do.
Beautiful. Any
Yeah.
final comments or questions? I'd love to be quiet now, me. No? Happy holidays. How about that?
Black cat happy. Suck holidays.
Exactly. All right. Thank you, everybody. I'll just hang back. I'll say goodbye, but I'll hang back for anyone who really wants to ask a final question after I stop record.